Time now for one of my favorite moments of the week. It's called Left, Right, and Center. And here to help us elucidate some of the important issues that are happening this week is David Webb, who is XM Sirius radio host, as well as award-winning journalist Karen Hunter. And we call you Webb and Hunter, Hunter and Webb.
So fair, Debbie. So fair.
It's always good to see you guys.
Good morning.
Okay, well, you know what? We talked about this the last time you were here, but the country is still talking about the George Zimmerman trial, the killing of Trayvon Martin. It has sparked a conversation that many would argue needs to be had, and then it was only reignited when the president came into the press briefing room last Friday and made very personal remarks about his experience of being a black man in this country and race in general. Let's listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll get going.
When Trayvon Martin was first shot, I said that this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. There are very few African-American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very few African-American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing the locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator.
Before we get into discussion, because you're the only black man sitting at this table, David Webb, can you relate to the comments that he made?
No, I can't. And I'll tell you what, whether it did or didn't happen, and I've said this, I have no overt instance where I know somebody did it. And if they did it, it's not that I don't care. I understand the realities of what's happened, but what do I do? The president can insert himself in. Look, he wanted multiple bites at the apple in his statements. Are you telling me that of the 40+ million blacks in this country, he knows anecdotally that most of them have been profiled and how? Or women have clutched their purses. By the way, women clutch their purses a lot when teenagers of all kinds get in there. So we can't ignore and we can't pretend that racism doesn't exist. It does exist. We can't
I just
pretend.
want to see if he's real. I just want to.
We can't pretend.
You might be the lone wolf crying out in the wilderness.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you why. Because we can't pretend racism doesn't exist. We can't pretend it exists everywhere. The problem is the president wants all the bites where he wants to say that all of you know this happens to you.
That's
and we should have a conversation
I think he was
about
expressing his. So you've never been followed around a store. No one's ever Okay, I don't even want to go here because I want to hypnotize.
In fairness, I asked him what his personal experience is,
and that's what he said.
I think he's
one person.
As it relates to the president wading into this conversation, was it the right tone at the right time, or was it too little, too late?
It can't be wrong because the man came out. It was impromptu. He did not get prompted to do this, and he said what was on his heart, which is on the hearts of a lot of Americans right now who are very hurt by this verdict. And I think that this is a time where we need leadership, where we need someone who's at the top of the food chain to say this matters. This young man is dead, and it matters that he's dead. Now, what are we going to do about it? And that's the question that I want answered. And I don't want to hear a lot of people talk. I'm tired of the talk, quite frankly. I'm tired of talking about it. Can we get some real movement in this?
And actually, okay, that's a good point. And here's
I got a good point. Thanks, David.
Here's what we see coming out of this. We got rallies. Let me ask you, where are the neighborhood meetings in 100 cities between neighborhood watches, between neighbors to, one, educate them to make sure neighborhood watches are clearly identified, and also on the other side have approached how you react. We're having a conversation. By the way, everything a president says is political regardless of party. That's the nature of being a president. He came out with some notes. He did it. That's fine. I don't care about the speech as much as I care about the content that came out of it. For 19 minutes, he could have done this more succinctly and addressed the concerns of Americans, and there could have been follow through. But right now, here's the reality. This story is dead. It's over.
No, it's not. It's not. And here's the
problem. I understand what you're saying. What story?
Don't try to understand, Debbie. Don't walk into the light.
No, we need to understand.
No. I'll tell you why this story is dead for a number of reasons.
Are you saying race is
No, not race.
Issue?
Not
what
race.
Story is dead?
The Zimmerman verdict story, the rallies, everything. It's over and done as part of the news
Yeah, but
cycle
the
in
Zimmerman
large part.
story, no, but the Zimmerman story is symptomatic of a larger issue.
Of what
It's not
larger
about
issue?
Zimmerman. It's really not about Zimmerman.
No, it's not, but it was started with
that
him.
we have a race issue in this country that we've never addressed, and I think we need
Okay,
to start
so
with our
who's addressing
education.
it now? Who's
well,
addressing
Obama
it now?
stepped forward to address it, but now I want to see some Congress people, the way Adam Clayton Powell met with Lyndon Johnson and got some legislation moving through
What
our country
legislation
in terms
would you
of
like to see happen?
changing the laws of profiling. We shouldn't have all these stop and frisk laws in New York City.
Okay,
the stand
that's
your
not a
ground law in
congressional
Florida.
issue. That's a state issue.
Well,
Congress
it could
cannot
be,
act
but
on a state issue.
It could be a national issue where we talk about what it means
Congress
to profile.
cannot act on a state issue. The
But
Constitution
Congress
prevents
can
that.
and should act at the will of the people that they represent. And so if this
Absolutely.
conversation that the president has weighed in on sparks or raises awareness amongst the people, which then spurs the
Which is
Congress
fine,
to act,
which is fine.
there's a connection there.
But
Is
what-
there
but
not,
what
David?
Yes, but what is the action? What is
say
the,
yes.
I did.
but what is
He's
the
coming
action
around.
that actually follows?
Well,
Let's face the reality of what happens every time this comes up. The quote conversation on race, whether it's Professor Bill Gates, the police acted stupidly while I don't know all the facts, whatever
Skip
it is.
Gates.
What do we have
Skip
to?
Gates.
We have a beer summit now. People started calling for a hoodie summit. But what is the real action that follows that addresses the issues of race in this country? Whether it's by the purported black leaders of Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson,
let me just stop you.
they
Let me
do
stop you for a second.
nothing
Let me stop
except
you.
fill their pockets.
I actually
and
agree
walk
with
away.
you on this. And I think the poverty pimps and all the folks that profit from black blight in this country should sit down and shut up if they're not going to add to it. I don't think anything is happening from these marches and rallies other than a cathartic feeling of unity. But I saw that with Occupy Wall Street and
Okay.
nothing happened. It's time to get
So
some real
here's my
action.
homework. The next time we
Okay.
come back, we'll talk
Homework.
about
I
not
got
just
you.
about the conversation, but then how do we move forward?
I got
What
it.
is the
I
next
had a
step?
10-point plan,
David
Debbie.
Webb, Karen Hunter, thank you so much.
All
We'll
right.
see you next week. Thank you so much for watching Arise America on this Wednesday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Thursday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.